Hey, what's up, everybody? It's Dr. Catrice Austin, dentist to the stars. Tune in to Tynee Talks. If she's talking about it, it must be worth talking about.
Yo, it's Tynee Talks. We're gonna talk about it right here. Yo, you ready? It's Tynee Talks right here. We gon' talk about it right here. We gon' talk about everything you like. I'ma make it real clear. It's Tynee Talks right here. We gon' talk about it right here. I'ma talk about everything you like. I'ma make it real clear, cause it's Tynee Talks. And I'ma talk about it. Yeah, cause it's Tynee Talks. And I'ma talk about it, about it, about it, about it. Hey, hey. Hey, and welcome to this edition of Tynee Talks. Remember, Tynee Talks and you listen. And today I got a lot. I mean, did I say a lot? A lot to talk about, because this episode is the recap episode of 2019, entitled The Highlights and Bullshit of 2019. So we're going to talk about everything that I feel was a highlight and a couple things that I feel was like on some bullshiggity. So in the studio with me today, I got some phenomenal men. I got only men in the studio with me today. My homegirl was unable to make it, so it's a lot of testosterone in the build. So I got some great guests. I got a returning guest. I have Mr. Terrence.
Yo, what up, though?
What up, though? Hailing from Flint, Michigan by way of fam. You.
Right.
I also got the host of the Carefree Black Nerd Podcast, which you can find on SoundCloud, Apple Podcasts, and Spotify, Mr. Rhayne.
Hey, what's up, Tynee?
Rain down on us. Rain upon us.
Well, yes, happy to be here.
I'm going to need you to bring that back to your mouth. No, just put what is that, the ASMR?
All right,
yeah, that's much better. Make sure you speak it to the mic. And I also have last episode's show sponsor, the hardworking black man himself, Mr. Amos Williams.
Peace to the universe.
Welcome, everybody. I'm so glad to have you guys on the show. But first, we got to hear from today's episode sponsor. Today's episode is brought to you by 810 Nail Bar. 810 Nail Bar is a high-end nail studio and nail bar with a down-to-earth feel in the heart of the new downtown Flint. That's Flint, Michigan. You may have heard it for the water crisis, but it's way more to Flint, Michigan than that. 810 Nail Bar specializes in shellac manicures, pedicures, and acrylic nails, and they can keep you looking fly. If you would like to book an appointment at 810 Nail Bar, call 810-422-9568. Or you can visit in person at 555 South Saginaw Street, Suite 103. If you're ever in the Flint, Michigan area, I know that this podcast is heard all over the world. And I know that you might want to take a trip to Flint because everybody and their mama that been there. Jada Pinkett Smith, y'all seen the Red Table Talk. She was rocking the Flint Lives Matter. Jaden and Willow and them be up in Flint. Like, that's basically a second home. It probably is because property taxes are low. So let's get into the highlights and the bullshits of 2019. Y'all ready?
Yeah.
Let's do this, Brutus. So while I was doing research for this show, for this year-end recap, I realized that what black people consider news, the whites, the mainstream, does not, what our idea of news. So two different ends of the spectrum.
There are two Americans.
Say that one more time.
2 Americans. Maybe 3, maybe 4. But definitely
two Americas. I would definitely have to agree with that. As I was like searching, like I was putting in the search engine, like I literally put in highlights of 2019. And literally there was absolutely nothing on this list that I have before me. Absolutely nothing.
When important to you.
Right. It definitely wasn't important to me. There was a few things here and there, you know, talking about Trump, of course. You know, you want to always perk your ears up for that because you know, they could be low-key saying we're going to put all you blacks back in slavery. So you might want to...
I feel like that's why I'm there, though. I mean, I listen. So
yeah,
and I'll come back and inform everyone else. Hey, y'all.
Thank you.
Pay attention.
Definitely. So Terrence, if you ever paid attention to another episode, you'll know that he is a history teacher and he's deep into the history. He only quotes facts. He's not going to give you his opinion. He's going to give you facts. If it is his opinion, it's steeped in facts. He's going to have a works cited page to hand to you.
There is a works cited.
There will be a works cited page that he's either going to email to you, verbally tell you, or send you in a text message. Okay, so you will know. So I want to start with a little bit of my highlights for 2019. So. I got to travel to about 10 different places this year. I was able to go to the Dominican Republic. The Dominican. I say like Dominican. I went to the Dominican Republic. Mm-hmm. This Rhayne, yes. What is happening with you over there?
Wow.
I went to the Dominican.
You got it.
Thank you. I went to the Dominican this year. I was out the country. I got flued out.
Yeah. Because
my sister got married. And y'all know what? That next month, y'all remember, this was big news. Everybody started dying in the Dominican. Except me, though.
Except you, though. Everybody died.
Everybody died. Everybody and their mama died, except me. God watches over babies and fools. So don't you ever forget it. But we won't talk about my experience in the Dominican. I low-key could have died. Terrence knows, but we won't get into all of that.
We need to do a secondary podcast about that.
No, we don't.
Yes, we do.
So yeah, my sister got married. Shout out to her. She's a king now.
Yeah.
I got a chance to go whitewater rafting with the love of my life, Terrence.
What?
Yeah, you was there.
I know.
I got another love?
No, it's me. It's me.
How did you feel about whitewater rafting?
Man, that was the greatest thing of 2019. That was like, that is the highlight. I'm done.
That's your highlight.
I just wanted to come on here to say, I went whitewater rafting. I did some white people stuff on a boat full of white people.
We were the only blacks.
And we held it down. No white people was going to let us drown.
Listen, they put us on the raft with the weakest people they could find, but I felt like everybody's lives depended on us.
Right. Yes, exactly. You know how black women tried to save America from Trump, but white women ruined it anyway?
Period.
It was the white woman on the boat who was going to let us die.
This white lady was going to let us die. And like when anybody in this room, have y'all been whitewater rafting? Yeah. You been? Yeah. So you know they say like when you say go forward, you got to go forward. Like on time.
Or left side, right side.
Yeah, left side, right side. You got to do it on time. Or period, you capsizing. Period. And this lady next to me just didn't want to do the work.
The worst.
Iyanla said it. You got to want to do the work.
The worst.
I feel like we do need that podcast now. I need to know what happened.
It was a lot going on. But needless to say, again, we survived.
Right.
There was a little white boy. So we were kind of contemplating we were like, oh, we might want to bring AJ, but then when the little white boy fell off in the water, he was screaming for dear life, and then all of us had to pull over so he could get saved. It was wild. What you thinking?
I'm trying to play it out of my head. So he fell over. Y'all just had to parallel park.
You're probably thinking to yourself, how could someone's mom let them fall off this whitewater raft?
They usually have leashes on them or something.
No, with no leashes.
No.
We just had to tuck our feet.
Did you say leash?
We had to tuck our feet into this little slot and hold on. When we were done, the ab routine, the ab work. the regiment. We were strong because we were holding
our
on for dear
abs
life.
were strong and our calves were strong.
You
We
had to
were
use
strong
your legs to hold on.
to hold on, so we wouldn't capsize. Sweetheart, I need you to bring it to you because you seem like you want to. No, bring it up.
This is new to me.
Raise it up. Okay, now bring you. Okay.
Yeah, this is new to me. My bad.
There you go.
Bro, a kid.
Yeah. A small kid. He was about 8 years old, and he fell off, and we all had to. And the currents were big. So we were in Colorado. Let's put it into context. Okay. We were in a real white water rafting situation. We were in the Rocky Mountains. The currents were strong, and the poor little baby got flung and threw into the air, and it was a highlight. It's a highlight of 2019.
Bullshit for him. On his list.
Oh, yeah, for sure.
Bullshit in 2019.
For sure.
You made it to the podcast, say. You made it.
And also another highlight of my year is I'm writing a little book out here in these streets. Okay. Little guide, little something that y'all should, be ready for in 2020 as we kick off a new decade. Also, Tynee Talks Season 4 has been super legit fire. That's out here, improve my quality of everything. Right. Just everything has been great, and it's only going to grow.
The glow up.
The glow up was real for 2019. Everything about 2019 was a complete glow up, and I stopped being afraid to walk completely in my gifts. Like there was a little hesitation. Prior to this year, just not being fully confident in my gifts or ability. And it's like, I know that I have the talent. So I want to say that's a great highlight of 2019, that I just stopped being afraid, afraid to be on camera. I really was like, I'll get in front of a camera. If it's there, I'm like, hello, and ready, okay? And 5, 6, 7, 8. But just being worried about, your size, your weight, you want to always been a little, if I'm going to be on cameras, the camera's going to add 10 more pounds. Just being afraid, to say, hey, if Lizzo can take her ass to a Lakers game with no qualms, well, then you're going to get all of this 200 plus pounds. My bullshit for 2019 is that I'm still overweight. That's that little segue, but I'm working on it. My Uncle Jerome died 2 days before my birthday. That was some bullshit. I was completely devastated. I was in Vegas when I heard the news, and it just rocked my world. My father was murdered when I was an infant, and so my Uncle Jerome was kind of like my father figure in my life. So for him to depart the earth, and he was young, he was only 55 years old. He was 55, so it was hard, but
condolences.
Thank you. What was I gonna say? People should. Okay, never mind. So anyway, back to you, Bob. Terrence, what was your highlight of 2019?
It was whitewater rafting.
Oh, you did mention that.
2019, it was cool. I like the fact that you said it was like you're stepping out. I had to emotionally learn how to step out this year, just put myself in my right mental frame of mind. But, it wasn't a big shifting year, but for me, just trying to keep up momentum for things that I had planned, planting seeds, I feel like it was an important year. I moved in with my boo.
Oh.
Yeah.
Hey.
Yeah. That was dope.
How is it living with your boo?
Well, it's great. It's great. It's great. It's always good to have love with you. So, being able to cuddle and snuggle, I love it.
Aww. And I'm a cuddler.
Yes, she is.
Okay.
Rhayne, what was the highlight of your year of 2019 or highlights?
Year, the highlight. Well, I'm still, I'm from Flint as well. I've been in Dallas for approximately 2 years, a little over 2 years now. So I'm still learning Dallas. I'm still learning the people. I'm still learning the environment, the social climate. This year, I think my highlight was at my job, I got a promotion. It was a seasonal promotion, but I worked my ass off for it without actually working for it. Right. So the thing is, I just did well at my job. And it wasn't like, I'm going to get here, I'm going to get there. And what I learned is that it's just me. Like when you're born alone and you die alone. You got relationships along the way. But when I was in that space, I'm like, okay, I'm actually doing something that I hadn't planned on doing, and I'm doing it well. Well enough that I'm getting a lot of recognition, pay raise as well, so that was good. Yeah. So just like seeing what it is that I could possibly do, like because without a degree, and being the only child for all intents and purposes, and being in a space that I'm still learning. Yeah, this ain't my first time moving away from home, but it's my first time as an adult in Texas
with real bills. Yeah. The cost of living is really real out here. Very different from where we're from, for sure.
Yes. This rent is something else.
This rent is the bullshit of 2019.
Oh yeah,
very much so. Yes.
Right. Thank you for sharing. And Amos, what was some of the highlights for your 2019?
Well, the highlight of 2019 for me was moving here to Texas, and the day I was supposed to for my job, and from Flint, and the first day I was supposed to have orientation, we go on the big General Motors strike.
That's some bullshit of 2019.
Like, as soon as I get here, I'm like, oh wow. I'm like, hey sis, I'm here. I say, oh cool, where you at? I'm in Arlington. You know? And then boom, it's like.
The strike. And the strike lasted like 40 days and 40 nights. It was like never ending. It was like, let my people go. The economy slowed up. And I feel like they realized like these hairdressers need to get paid. These nail techs need to be paid. Like when GM shuts down, that shuts down other industries because when they get paid, they're pumping money in the economy because they're spending. They're doing all these things. So it affects all of us. In my industry, it helped us a little bit because usually when I work in higher ed, and so usually when a strike takes place, people run to school. So
I'm still going to school. That's happening.
Shout out to you. So let's get into it. I just want to give a round of applause to all you guys' highlights. Just keep moving forward and walking in your purpose. So we're gonna kick it off. So what we're going to do in today's recap, we're going to take you through the year from January to December. We're going to take you through the year. So the first thing of 2019, I don't want to say this is a highlight, since this show is highlighting bullshit of 2019. 2019 started on some bullshit. Number one, we had to swear in the 46. No. Did we not swear him in?
No, he was already president.
He got inaugurated.
No, he became president he won in 2016, inaugurated in 2017.
I'm late.
I know, but this is what his presidency does to you. You be like, when is it over?
I promise you it felt so new. That was 2016? Oh, yeah. Bro, why did I feel like it was 2018? Wow. Okay, Ixnay on the Xnay. So anyway, the kick it off was the bullshit was Jussie Smollett kicked off the year with an ass whooping that went around the world. So my question is, why would he be going to a Subway in the middle of the night in the dead winter in Chicago is beyond me. Because I used to live in Chicago myself, and the winters are deadly. So what say you about him kicking off 2019 with this bullshit?
It was supposed to be a highlight at first. We was about to get super woke for 2019.
We were.
It was MAGA hats. We was ready.
Yeah.
We was like, MAGA hats and nooses in Chicago?
Chicago?
We about to whoop some ass.
We was ready to fight. We were.
They messing with Jussie.
Listen, they were messing with Jussie. We was ready. We were protesting. And, he said it was a hate crime against LGBTQ communities. So, they were fired up and raring to go. And it turned out to be some bullshit. So, Rhayne, what are you thinking of over there?
No, I was with him.
You were with him? You were?
Yeah, no, I was.
Okay.
And I don't know. I think it's 3 sides to the story. Of course, your side, their side, and the truth. And it came out to be something. Yes, diagonal. I'll say that. What really got me about this is that, much like what people say about women who lie about being rape victims, I hate that this can be used to distort the rate at which LGBTQ community do get these crimes committed against them. I I think I stood with him because I felt like, much like with women, regardless to what the story sounds like, until it comes out that it is not the truth, I do want to stand on your side. Yeah, again, it's a very, I'll say, just a diagonal story. But I was with him. But then I also think, which element people probably didn't think too much about, but there goes to that privilege that he has. He's a conventionally attractive, light-skinned, thin man in the gay community, which would lend more kind of credibility to what he's saying. If he was a overweight, dark-skinned, short gay man and lied about this, or had it been true, I don't think it would have been met with the same kind of I don't know, support, for lack of a better term, that it got with him. So I think that it was funny that this happened right off of the heels of him being on The View, talking to Raven about, oh, you being crazy, calm down. You know, when she made all the claims about, I'm not black, you know, whatever. I was like, this is a very interesting kind of turn of events.
You do this, you know, this thing, that which basically takes down your credibility. In the grand scheme of things, is going to, from now on, it's like the boy who cried wolf. Like, our people, when it really, really and truly happens, are they going to believe you this next time, or are they going to believe somebody from the community, from the Black LGBT community, when they're crying of injustice towards them? You know, so that was crazy.
Definitely,
to say the least. It was wild. So that was January. February was kind of, you know, low key. I don't remember anything really of newsworthy happening in February besides my uncle dying. To me, that took over February, and, you know, Black History was going on. However, I just felt like Black History wasn't really celebrated this year. I don't know if it was me, but usually, you know, I don't even remember seeing the McDonald's 365.
Oh my God. That's not Black History. That's Tom Jordan's Black History. Brought to you by.
I think they did a little facts, but, you know, it wasn't really. So we're going to skip on down to March 8th. Now, when I say March 8th, that might not mean anything to you off rip. All right, until we get into what happened on March 8th. So 2 significant things happened. And Terrence might not think this is significant because this wasn't during his era. But this is definitely during our era. True. So on March 8th, B2K kicked off the Millennium Tour in Pittsburgh.
Damn. Okay.
And every girl born from 1984 to about 1995 purchased tickets.
Wow.
And they was in that thing, you know what I mean?
Yes, at work. Bro, at my job, it had to be like 40 of us that when this was announced, we're like pulling up jersey dresses, them jellies, them
Timberland heel boots, airbrush.
The whole department was like, oh yeah, we going I ended up not partaking, but it was a smooth like 3 or 4 weeks of just constant nostalgia, old school music, lyrics. We didn't get no work done, so forgive me, supervisors, but we didn't get no work done.
It was complete pandemonium, like up and down my timeline. Like everybody was reminiscing, everybody was practicing their dance moves. You know, the chicken head, drop down to get your eagle on. Like we was ready to bring everything back. I had planned on going, but when they came to this area, it conflicted with some things that I had already going on. So I didn't get a chance to see B2K before the Fizzgate. And apparently, I ain't going to get to see them again because Omarion kicked them off the tour. But we'll get to that later in the timeline. Also, on March 8th, we heard a cry around the world. So early in the day, B2K announces that they're going on a Millennium Tour. They kick off the tour. They kick off the tour on March 8th. But that evening, something happened.
Y'all need to think.
Wait a minute. I said nothing happened in February. But what happened was Lifetime came out with Surviving R. Kelly series, right? Which leads us to the evening of March 8th. So Lifetime does this documentary about R. Kelly and his allegedly with his alleged victims. And I mean, it was complete mania after this aired. What are your thoughts about Surviving R. Kelly? Do you think it's real? Do you think the stories were fabricated? Do you think that they were real? Like, what are your immediate thoughts?
listen, you can't just say this kind of stuff about me for years.
Yeah. Like they didn't just come off the sidewalk saying this
You know
stuff.
what I'm saying? For years?
It's been whispers for years.
No.
Now, no.
This was just confirmation. I'm like,
Yes.
y'all got some people to finally come and say it.
Yes.
Yeah, we know he did that.
Not gonna lie. When I was in undergrad, I actually saw the infamous sex tape. We were watching it during work study. Sorry, Mr. Ganges. We were watching this on work study time and office hours. And we watched it, and I can say with 100% clarity that was him. He was all up in the camera. He was adjusting it. They were in like this little sauna-like room. So March 8th, after the backlash of all of this, R. Kelly sits down with Gayle King. Gayle King. And
that was actually funny.
Why? Why did he do
He thought he was smarter than her. That's the only explanation I have, is that he thought he was smarter than her.
Is that what it was?
Like, you thought you could talk your way out of this because you had been untouched for so long. But you sitting down, first of all, you sitting down with a black woman.
Come on.
See what kind of bubble he living in.
But yeah, he had to have thought, I watch true crime, and it seems like every mass murderer, rapist, serial killer ends up, when they get their time in the shine, so to speak, they are so charismatic and so confident that, I can talk my way out of this. That had to be what he thought. It has to be.
Do you think that he agreed to sit down with Gayle because he felt like, this is a woman and I'm so good at manipulating women that this will be a piece of cake? Do we think, had he got sat down with what's a well-known male interviewer, like a
Don Lemon? No.
like a Don Lemon, or what's that light-skinned black man that used to be on BET? He used to have a TV show. He had the wavy hair.
Talking about, I know you did the news.
He did the news.
Ed Gordon.
Ed Gordon.
Okay.
Do we think that if they were like, come talk to us, would he have agreed to it? Because remember, years ago, he did that interview with the guy with the curly hair.
Teray.
With Teray.
Yeah.
With the funniest question of all time. Well, how old are we talking?
Right. With the high. And Teray later did an interview, and he said he was looking like, he said he's on TV and was at a loss for words. Like, and if you go back and watch the interview, Teray is like confused.
Yeah.
He's on air. He has to compose himself. He's like, he said, so when you say teenager, how old are we talking?
Not adult.
Take it how we should think it.
And you notice after he did that interview with Teray, he didn't do interviews for a long time. You just heard about R. Kelly. You heard him with music, but you never heard him in an actual interview after that interview. Because I think maybe his people were like, dog.
I was just about to say that, yeah. They
Don't mess up this money.
Don't mess up this money.
Mess up this money.
So I'm wondering if maybe a Jeff Johnson would have said, let's have an interview. Would he have felt as confident to sit down with them? Because those tears and that rant that he did on that meltdown, I don't think it would have went over with a male interviewer.
It didn't go over at all.
This is true. It didn't go over. I'm saying I don't think he would have had the nerve to even do that with a man.
I think with Gayle, I think it was more than manipulation too. Is if you look at Oprah's affiliations on the other side, who she's doing another documentary right now
on Russell Simmons.
But yet you're connected to these other people.
Harvey Weinstein.
Yeah.
And you haven't thought to do it.
And he's connected to Epstein and there's no highlights on them. And then at the same time, you targeting Bill Cosby and R. Kelly. Now you're going after Russell Simmons, and it's kind of like a thing where there's a pattern. But I think
definitely a pattern.
I think once you're in that certain tax bracket, if you're black and you're in that certain tax bracket, I think you forget that you're black.
Do you think that's what R. Kelly felt?
I think so.
But I feel like his star has kind of diminished where he's not in the tax bracket that he once was. So I just feel like
You've been in those circles.
Yeah, but I just feel like he thought he was gonna come in front of Gayle and just skate through it like he has been doing for decades. And it was I don't know what he thought.
Was dumb. That was so dumb.
That was stupid.
Right. Let's quote him.
That was stupid.
He did throw it out there. I can't read. Like,
But you can screw.
I could read her age.
Right.
The driver's license.
Wow.
So that was definitely a highlight and a bullshit.
Yeah, wrapped in one. Yes.
Wrapped in one. So as you know, that was March 8th, and then March 31st rolled around, and my heart sank to the floor when I heard the news that Nipsey Hussle passed away at his Marathon store on March 31st, 2019. I think the whole world, I can literally say the world mourned. It felt really dark. It felt sad. It literally felt like in 1996 when Tupac died. It felt like 1997 when Biggie died. Like I knew where I was during those two deaths. I knew how I felt. I knew when I cried my little eyes out. And I knew where I was when Nipsey passed away. I got the news and I was sitting at work at my desk and I was just glued to CNN Live the whole time. You know, they had footage of Lauren running into the hospital. You know, somebody had recorded it and put it out, which I think is rude. You know, we live in a social media world where it's like someone's death is our viewer porn, as you will. Someone's tragedy is our viewer porn. And that was definitely the bullshit because he was on the rise. Him and Lauren had just did the Vogue spread. Nipsey Hussle been around a while, but he was coming into the mainstream of just being a superstar, especially with his economic ideals and his idea of building a community, him staying in his community to lift it up. You know, we know most people get their money and they like, I'm leaving the hood. I might do a toy drive here and there. I might do a back to school drive, but how many of them stay in their communities? And he did, and it was sad.
Yeah, it definitely was, man. I know my son hit me up and he's just like, Dad, did you see it? He's like, Nip got shot. And I'm like, what? And I'm in the kitchen cooking. I'm like, he got shot? Who would shoot at Nip?
Right.
You know, I'm like, at first you think, okay, Nip, cuz, you know, he crippin' or whatever, you know. But I'm like, but he got love on both sides. Why would somebody do that to him? And then it was like, what? It was just a terrible feeling. You know, it's some people who die and you be like, yeah.
I can see why.
Yeah. You know, and then other people you be like, nah.
Not him.
You know what I'm saying? Because you can just feel people's genuine spirit. You know what I'm saying? It was just bleeding through the music, whatever. You know, it's just my man was genuine. It was devastating. It was devastating.
I mean, I'm teary-eyed. It don't take much for me to cry, but I'm teary-eyed now just thinking about it. Just thinking about his children, thinking about the love he left behind. And, you know, Lauren just did the Puma campaign where she dedicated to him, and you know the love between them was real. We see a lot of like celebrity couples, and a lot of it is for the glitz and glamour of it all, or to say, you know, hashtag relationship goals. But when you look at their love, and you know when they shared their text message with each other, you know people got more into their relationship, but it was genuine. It wasn't for the TV. It wasn't a manufactured relationship so we can build up our followers. It was a genuine love there. And Terrence, like you said the word genuine, and I think that's the best word to describe Nipsey.
It definitely wasn't a $500,000 in the refrigerator for my birthday deal. It was a real, like you said, it was a real deal love situation.
Yeah. And that makes me sad to think that, you know, once you get that your one true love or that one genuine love, you know, because, you know, Lauren has dated people. We've all dated people where we was just like, wow. But when you finally found the one that feeds your soul and for them to be ripped from you, that
You know, it's really wild about Nip, though, at the same time. After he passed, there was a lot of course, back and forth with people, you know, just now becoming Nipsey Hussle fans, which is fine. Mm-hmm. You're going to figure out, you're going to learn about somebody at some point, and it might be after the wave passed. I just feel like his star, it just shined brighter after the fact. You know what I'm saying? After the fact, it was just like, then you really get to see. Just like with everybody else who had been following him from Slauson Boys mixtapes and all the way forward. And you're like, yo.
Are you a fan?
And he was like, yo, it's like this dude, you know, I mean, I hated that it comes after he passes, but people can just really get to see. It's like, because some people were like, why? Why y'all care? Yeah. But it was undeniable. You couldn't hold back how everyone felt about him, how it got. I mean, he got a funeral on BET. Yeah. Now, first and only time I seen that was James Brown.
Aretha Franklin.
Yeah, well, yeah, Aretha Franklin thing. Yeah, you know, so it's just like, is he up there with them? Well, probably not. But when you're such a genuine person, when you're someone who everybody can just kind of feel, you know, that you are a true person and you know you really mean well for people. Yes. It's like, wow.
And I end up becoming a fan of him a little bit before he died. I ended up becoming a fan of him after his Breakfast Club interview, actually. And I was like, let me look more into him. And I was like, cool. And I started, you know, he had a lot of stuff on YouTube. But one thing that sticks out is the neighborhood, like, alcoholic that he gave the job in the little plaza of where the Marathon store was. And most people would shoo this person away. Say, get away, don't loiter out here. You see what I'm trying to do. But he would, you know, he would talk to this man and understood that this man is the history of this neighborhood. And he would talk to him and take him to go to get his hair cut and make him feel good. Not just giving him money to say, here go money and give him away, but actually look at him as a person. And that was beautiful. I don't want to labor on Nipsey Hussle, but rest in peace, Nip, neighborhood Nip, for sure. Ooh, let's take a little break.
Yeah, I'll come over, just not right now. Yeah, because I'm about to tune into Tynee Talks. Because unlike what you be talking about, if Tynee's talking about it, it must be worth being talked about.
And that's a for sure right on. So in April 2019, something major happened. Wendy Williams. Wendy Williams was big news in 2019 with the divorce from her husband, Kevin Hunter. That's big shit. Because the tea is the Daily Mail did an expose of that situation back in 2017, but she glazed over that in Hot Topics. And then it came right back around and it came true. Remember when Evelyn Lozada, years ago when Evelyn Lozada said, yeah, your man but coming to my store in Miami buying his mistress shoes. And she tried to glaze over that, but there was no denying that, baby. So that was big news out here in the blogs. So that did not overshadow, and I think this might have sunned even Nipsey's death. This next thing, April 14th, in the middle of the night at a festival in California, what was once known as Coachella turned into BeyChella. Was it BeyChella or BeyChella?
BeyChella.
Both of them. Beyonce brought all that black assery to the stage of Coachella.
Right.
That album go hard though.
It does.
Especially if you love you know, HBCU.
Yes.
Drum music, man, it go hard.
It goes hard. How do y'all feel about Beyonce bringing HBCU culture to the mainstream? Because now we got the little white boy. I think he's in
Josh. Yeah.
Josh. I think his name is Josh, but now he is.
I'm listening.
What are y'all talking about?
Okay, so a little context for you, Terrence. There's a white boy on the internet who has gained notoriety because he is now the, what do you call it? The drum major.
Oh yeah.
He's a drum major at a high school.
He go in. I seen him.
Your face. Okay, we're gonna. I can't wait till you unleash your thoughts because Rhayne and I be on the same page with this shiggity that be happening in the world. Like when he just made that comment that he go in,
and I'm looking at like, please, are you telling me this is one of those moments?
It is
where black people all of a sudden see a white person doing what we do in our sleep, and then all of a sudden they are the greatest thing ever.
I throw this whole set at you.
But I can do whatever they was doing with a broken leg and 2 broken arms.
Come on.
3 different videos of this thing. The fact that I seen 3 different videos is like, goes to what you're saying. Like,
we just look at them and be like, oh, finally, y'all learn how to do it.
What we've been doing. You like what my 3-year-old can do.
Good
job.
job.
Take it.
Good job, Tynee. You studied us hard.
So back to my question. So, Beyonce brought all that black assery to mainstream, HBCUs, what we love. You attended the HBCU fam. Nope. You attended Clark. I attended Dillard. Dillard didn't have a band, but we still was lit.
Music.
We played music. We had a bomb gospel choir. Here.
Right.
But she basically brought HBCU culture to the mainstream because nobody do it like we do it. Nobody do it like the Sonic Boom. Nobody do it like Southern. Nobody do it like Jackson State. Nobody. Okay, so you got this boy, Josh. I think his name is Josh. And he goes to a high school, and he's the drum major of this predominantly black band. He's getting notoriety and fame for what we've been doing, for what Northern band. Come on, Northern. Come on, Mr. Muldrew. Been doing since the 90s. What Northwestern band was doing. I can imagine schools here in Dallas were even doing for years. So Rhayne, unleash it for us.
All right. My show was birthed out of representation in comic books and related media. That has been the hill that I choose to die on since I started. What really bothers me, what I love is that Beyonce did bring this HBCU culture to the mainstream, mainly because a lot of people don't know, even black people, don't know the intricacies. And so I feel like just like a different world, if you bring just even one little aspect to the world at large so that this conversation is being had, that just like you said, you didn't know much about Nipsey until like maybe right before he passed, you went searching. So I think it is good because that's what people do. Even if you just want to go for the band, for the Greek life, for the parties, you're still going to eventually end there.
Right.
So I'm all for that. As it relates to white people in black spaces, I'm highly annoyed. Now, I'm not going to deny that boy, he got some moves.
He got something.
But he doesn't have anything that we don't already see with 4C hair or with dark skin. So for him to be praised, and then you get the people like, oh, you just upset and let that boy be. No, because then our Keishas with pink hair and their baby hair slicked down and our Tyrones with their pants sagging don't get a chance to get celebrated when they're doing the same things.
Come on.
Or they're in these communities where if I'm at a predominantly white school as a little Tyrone, I'm not treated with the same regard that Josh does. And this is not a slight against the boy, but he's also a white male. Conventionally attractive, existing in a space where black people are already going to lift him up just by nature of systemically him being the most prized possession that America has. So for me, that's great that you're doing this. But before you, when you were a freshman, there were 3 classes of black people who are doing this. And after you, there still will be. And there's been decades of that. So I do think
we did a whole movie on the drumline, dog.
A word.
And even
back
that,
in the canon, bro.
Affirmative action. Homeboy, there was a nickname affirmative action. That was interesting for comic relief, but even revisiting that with things adult eyes, it's like, it's the difference between going to an HBC, hell, even going to a PWI and then going to a step show.
Yes.
Right.
And then also turning on Netflix and seeing Stepsisters or whatever they do. It's the difference in that where, again, no slight against the boy, but I could care less.
Yeah.
Because there's countless others who will no longer be seen or will be, like you rising to these ranks of this figurehead.
Yes.
Now you pushing all these other people in the background.
All the way to the back. Like you said, what we've been doing for I won't even say decades.
Eons.
The HBCU band is in such an upheld on a pedestal in our Black communities. You know, that's what a lot of our Black high school bands prided themselves on, while others were playing the traditional you know, we was out here like say
that.
We been out here, okay? We been had the beautiful majorettes.
Yes.
And their dances and their synchronized moves and their beautiful hairstyles. And, you know, you and I was on Rhayne's show, Carefree Black Nerd, and we did a Carefree Black Nerd movie night where we reviewed School Days. And the beauty that was School Days. It was everything Black assness. From start to finish. Pure, unadulterated, black.
Oh.
Assness.
I love us for real.
Come on, Monique. I love us for real. And so I like what you said, Terrence. You was like, is this another moment where there is the Caucasian out here doing things that we have been doing on one leg in a stencil, getting a praise and applause for what?
Well, going back to BeyChella with Beyonce, look what Taylor Swift tried to do right after Beyonce did.
Try.
Exactly.
Operative word, try.
Keyword, tried it.
We're Ohio State band.
Trying it. Yeah. And then you don't even...
That's what they do. Bam. Even with Black indie creators, podcasters, YouTubers, even the Black kids online who create the verbiage that we use on a daily. You turn on Ellen and you seeing Tyler from down the street who said, "Damn, Daniel." But what about all these other...
Tell us.
It's frustrating. It is so fucking frustrating because we're in this space where though social media connects us and we are now a worldwide community, it's also a place where we're easily robbed from that like we weren't before.
Yeah.
Because everything is for consumption online. I can log on to Twitter and I can see what's being said about so-and-so today, then this clever thing that someone says or this meme that's made, and it's shared even on the nightly news, and yet this person isn't getting that recognition.
They're not going to get the
recognition.
Compensation. And it's interesting that because Damn Daniel's going to make $1 million when Deontay had said it, and he just didn't have the followers or the, maybe he was seen by somebody who has the followers, and then that person took it. It's basically like the Kardashians do. I remember there was Kylie ended up getting a lawsuit against her years ago because she was selling some clothing online, but this Black girl had it first, and she had the proof that this was mine first, and that Kylie had actually ordered those garments from her. She had the shipping orders to prove that before Kylie made, her online thing go, that she bought it from this lowly Black girl who was small business, and then took this girl idea, took her stuff, saw what she did, and then took it to her people that got money, and she was able to launch this website of items. And it's what's been going on for years, and it is sickening.
White peopling.
Just white peopling. And like I have to quote Amanda Seales, we're not bashing white people. There are white people, and there are people that happen to be white.
Man. We have to shout out Beyonce for bringing, I love the fact that she brings the culture.
Yes.
Take it how you want to. She brings the culture to the space, and I love it. And if you are in tune to the culture, when she does it, she don't have to be obvious with big old signs. You know what's up, and you can just give her that thumbs up. Like, yeah, I see you.
You give her the...
Yeah, you give her that fist.
Oh, yeah.
Right hand, not the left hand. I see you, sis. Yeah. Right.
We see you. Beyonce.
We see you, sis. when she did the Super Bowl, I could see
Right.
that BeyChella coming, dude.
Yeah. And she
Snuck that right in on us, didn't she?
She snuck that in with the Black Panther attire, and she was as we know that sometimes in their culture they do dog whistling. So basically, I guess that was her signaling to us.
I feel that.
But we're not doing. But let's be very clear: when we do it, we're not doing it to harm nobody. We just doing it to uplift.
Right. Reinforcing.
Come on. So, shout out to you, Beyonce. Shout out to you, Jay-Z's wife. So after that happened, April 28th came 14 days later after BeyChella. And we lost a great man that has contributed to the culture.
Yeah.
One doughboy said one time, he said, either day,
Don't know.
don't know,
Don't show.
don't show,
Don't care.
or don't care about what's going on in the hood.
Bro.
We lost John Singleton, one of the greatest men to ever touch a camera lens. He gave us such classics as what I just quoted from Boys in the Hood, Higher Learning, Jody My Jody, Baby Boy. And most recently, he left us with a television gem, Snowfall, highlighting the crack epidemic of the 1980s that flooded into the 90s that has given us crack babies. And he highlighted that. And he didn't glorify drug dealing, but he let us know how the CIA and the government played a role into infiltrating our communities with this poison that we know as crack cocaine. Rest in peace, John. Like, how you shaking your head, Rhayne? Because I know, we were doing Carefree Black Nerd, and we were really reveling in Spike Lee and what he's done for the culture.
Yes.
And John Singleton is right there.
Right there. Same conversation. That was a lot of these deaths and a lot of these people for me is very, I feel like I have imposter syndrome because I know of them, but I didn't grow up in a household where like maybe an older uncle or cousin would have given you this album or given you this, so it was me and my mother. And so I feel like I'm on the fringes of a lot of this, but when I look at just the work that was done, like you said, Snowfall, like you said, Boys, like it's something that is such an integral part of my Blackness because of the nostalgia from it existing when I was a kid.
Yes.
So even if I didn't sit here and watch a lot of this as it came out, I cannot help but to be affected by it. When I heard the news that he had died, it didn't hit me hard like a family member, but it hit me because I'm thinking it's my own mortality that's staring at me. I'm getting older. And not to center myself in the conversation about this man, but it's like this black man has made so many wonderful projects that are being consumed worldwide, intergenerational, and he's gone now. Like, what's next? Do I have faith in the children, the young people who are coming up? And then, based off what we just said, do I have faith that they can create this without it being snatched away and whitewashed so that we get another John Singleton?
Oh,
it was sad.
I'm pretty sure John Singleton fought a lot of battles for us in Hollywood to get his films made. And when you mentioned your comment earlier about us as the culture accepting someone like Josh in our space, and when Rhayne goes into the same space in a predominantly white situation, you're not upheld in that situation. And John showed us that in the film Higher Learning. Higher Learning, you were in college when Higher Learning came out, correct? And what were your immediate thoughts and feelings about such a film?
Oh man, I loved Higher Learning. John Singleton just himself, because Boys in the Hood came out when I was in high school, and he made a whole generation, my generation, cry. I'm like, and nobody, batted an eye like, dog, we cried. Ricky died, and we were like, no, that was not right. He made us face ourselves, face what we were dealing with in our communities. And then when Higher Learning comes in, it fits with me because I was a boy in the hood who then went to college.
Correct.
And then it was just like, okay, even though it's an HBCU, it's just like you got those professors there who are forcing you to think and really confront things and understand the world. I was like, man, John, he is part of that backstory to my life. It's just like he's directing these visuals to explain all of us who came up through that era. Yeah. And I love how he did that. And then going forward, with Baby Boy, I mentioned it in class. I mention Baby Boy in class often because I point out to the kids, do you remember what happened at the beginning? And they're like, nah. It's like, you remember when it opens and it got the embryo and everything? The birth scene. And it's like, y'all remember the words on the screen? And they're like, nah. I was like, John Singleton really put Francis Cress Wesleyan on the screen. Like, when I was in college, it was mandatory reading in my African psychology class to read Francis Cress Wesleyan's The ISIS Papers. And John Singleton put it on the screen, just talking about this whole idea of what white supremacy does to us and how we raise our children, how we raise our boys. Yeah. This is something we have been thinking about at FAM, right? And then he throws it out there like, hey, y'all, consider what we go through and how it affects how we raise our boys. He was like,
because we say in the Black community, we raise our daughters and we love our sons. Right. And it's showing maybe sometimes the mother, and he showed in Baby Boy, sometimes we over love our son because we feel like we're trying to protect them from the boys in the hood, right? Yeah. So, John Singleton did Boys in the Hood, and we see what happened with Ricky. Well, and I like in Boys in the Hood, he showed the dichotomy of the two sons. One going in this path and one going in this path, and the one you thought was going to get shot end up not being. So then that brings us to Baby Boy, where it's like, let me protect my son from the hood. And we can see, what happens. But go ahead and finish your thought.
No, I was just saying that just John, as far as giving us visuals for how we get to where we are, just giving us the visuals of understanding our lives. When you throw in Snowfall and all of that, this man was taking our lives, our history, the things that mattered to us, the things that shaped us, shaped our musical genres, all types of things. John was excellent at just putting it on the screen in a way that was truly representative. It wasn't exploitive. Yeah. And none of that. It was very true. And it's like anybody who lived during those eras was like, yeah, he got it. He got it. And now the whole world can see. Because other than that, without talking about representation, when we don't feel represented, we feel like we don't exist. We feel like invisible men, invisible women. You know what I'm saying? But John gave us form on the screen, and we was like, finally somebody see it, and he's not taking advantage of us. So rest in peace to that brother.
Rest in peace to John Singleton. Wow, that made me get a feeling. I'm overwhelmed because, and I brought up higher learning in comparison to Dante going into this white space because I went to a HBCU and a PWI, and he shows Omar Epps' character going to this PWI off this track scholarship, and shows how we're treated, in these white spaces. But you're an athlete. Athletes get treated certain way. And like you said, John made it so real because a lot of times when we were given our view, it was on extremes. It was either extremely bougie or extremely ghetto, and you feel like like a person like me, I feel like where do I fit in? I'm not down and out welfare mom. That's not my narrative. But then I'm not the Huxtables. And John gave us middle Black America, more
he just
true.
Gave us that reality.
The reality,
He showed that same thing in Snowfall. When he was in that dream state, and he took that alternate reality and went to the white school. How he was treated in that school. He's like, oh, you just like Omar Epps. Oh, you can't afford. Okay, so you're going to have to leave.
And it came right back around, right? It came right back around. Now, speaking of Snowfall, the illest thing about Snowfall, as I remember talking to my homeboy about it, I was like, Snowfall puts us in a weird position where we, the people watching, the audience, we know how this ends. Oh, yeah. We know this is wrong, yet we cheer for Franklin.
We do. We want Franklin to win. Because we lose so much.
Because selling dope and that all of that whole thing, we know it wasn't about, oh, I just want to hurt my community. I want to poison everyone. It was like, how do I take something? How do I take these scraps or whatever that is left around me and turn it into something where I can build something else? That's the real reality. Yeah. It's like everybody's not in the hood trying to just destroy it. It's just like they just trying to build something with the little scraps that's on the ground. You know what I'm saying? And John was like, he gave us this character, Franklin, where on the one end, we're like, damn, dude, you're killing our community, and we kind of hate Andre because he's a cop, but at the same time, we understand why Andre is upset that his beloved community is getting ruined by this poison that is brought in.
We root for Franklin because we know Franklin didn't fly it in.
Yeah. Right. And so the complexities that's laid out, to me, is just beautiful. It was just like, it's complex. It's not cut and dry, white and black. No. It's complex. Yeah.
Rest in peace, John Singleton. Go, whoo. Oh, you said shit.
Okay. That was a beast.
Oh, that was a highlight. John Singleton, your life was a highlight of our lives. Right. But your death was definitely some bullshit because we know that you had more ideas in that beautiful, brilliant, black mind of yours. Rest in peace. Wow. Whew. All right, so we're gonna go. So we went through January. We in April. We gonna skip on over to summer because it was definitely a hot girl summer. Hey. She made me. What? Big old freak, big booty, big old tree. Hey. I'ma make him wait for the pussy. Hey. Hit it in these big old skin. What he gonna do with it? Feet on the bed. I fuck him up in the head. Suck it and look in his eyes. What? The next day I might leave him on red. Boom. Megan brought in the 2019 summer with a hot girl summer. And she definitely tried to bring my knees out of retirement, but I realized
she had to retire her own knees.
And I realized,
oh my God, yes.
My knees ain't what they used to be, Megan. Megan, let me tell you, Megan, you had every woman over 30 trying to revitalize our 20-year-old knees in this hot girl summer. You had us running to the CBD stores, oiling our joints like the Tin Man. So, Rhayne.
Yes. Fam.
What?
Yes, and I'd like to add some men too. Because, trust and believe, everybody needs gonna look bad. But yeah.
I saw a meme the other day, and it said, "Girls over 30 can't have our knees like Megan because we blew them out doing the butterfly, the Tootsie Roll, the tail feather, the chicken head, and the percolator." I can relate. Shout out to Megan Thee Stallion.
What's going on, young world? It's your man Mickey Wallace letting you know to tune in to the princess of the podcast, my homegirl Tynee Talks. Because if she talking about it, it must be worth talking about. Go get them.
And that's that on that. So shout out to Megan for bringing us into a hot girl summer. Men, how have you benefited from hot girl summer? I know you benefited.
Oh, yeah. Been a whole lot of twerking.
Hey.
Short bursts of twerking because you heard her talk about her knees.
Yes, short bursts. 10 second versions. Megan, I know we love you, girl. We love you around here at Tynee Talks and at the Sims Rogers residence. But which leads us to what else happened in the summer, June and July. This person had an emergence.
George Bush doesn't care about black people.
This young man by the name of Kanye West, born on the south side of Chicago. What you just heard in that little clip there was the Kanye we fell in love with. Yeah. But he emerged with this new cult. called Sunday services. What say you about these Sunday services?
Oh my goodness.
Is he pandering us? Is he playing with us? Or does he really got the salvation?
A little bit of A, a little bit of B.
Honestly.
My man is trouble.
Ooh.
He is
Bucko.
trouble. So I understand why he's turning towards religion, but
Goodness gracious.
But then the people who are listening to him and showing up to these services, they are not showing up to get saved.
At all.
You don't think so?
But he think they are. Which is a dangerous mix. Because he's like, yeah, see, look.
I mean, you know, I've seen the videos, and then, you know, you see everybody in the audience with the camera phones out. I mean, it's like.
Is it really a true worship experience if your phone is out?
Now, I just went to church today, and I like the idea of having the worship team or the choir in the audience. But, well, you know, it being Kanye is like, ooh, celebrity camera phone. I was here. I was there.
Okay.
You know,
So you think people are worshiping the celebrity instead of worshiping Jesus? I remember you and I had the conversation. You asked me, if he's not being real, how can people really get saved if he's not for real? Do you remember you asked me something along those lines? And I would have to say that, as we said in the old church when I was growing up, you may have come here for the wrong reason, but you might end up leaving for the right reason. I mean, you may have come, I know in the church, you know, sometimes you might come because the girl look good. or you trying to get a man. You may have come with the wrong intentions, right? But that word of God goes forth. And then you end up getting saved. You end up hearing a word that's going to enhance and better your life. So I always say, I'm going to give Kanye, Brother West, Brother West, the benefit of the doubt, because
so if he's not going to be another Mason Betha. And that's I think that's what the industry, like the people of the hip hop industry, is kind of looking at Kanye sideways, especially Joe Budden. I think because of what Mace, you know, did. You know, I think people are like really skeptical just cause off that. You know, fool me once, shame on me.
Fool me twice. I get you. I think what it is with Kanye is because we know, based on people he's worked with, how they have said that he's always trying to push the edge, push the envelope, do something that's going to draw people. So because they know that personality of him, I think they're skeptical, because there have been people throughout hip hop history who love Jesus. And still, I always like to use DMX. DMX is still going to make a DMX rap album, but for some reason you feel the godliness, even in his album, because he always going to pray. He always going to confess his sins. He always bring you that preacher-esque vibe, and you're always rooting for DMX. I remember when my mama was alive, she used to be like, why don't he just be a preacher? It's like they always say he's running from his calling. And I feel like when we look at Kanye, because we're not used to, we know about Jesus walks, but we don't think that that's necessarily his calling. Like we feel it for DMX, so we feel like it's fraud.
Because DMX was really in struggle. He's like, we believe him because he was really in struggle. And you could tell that when he was calling on the Lord because he really needed help. You know what I'm saying?
Lord, give me a sign.
And when he had his little victories, whatever they were,
yeah,
he gave praise. You know what I'm saying? I feel like Kanye is putting on a show. He's putting on a show. This is his ego. He's bigger than Jesus. That's what I think he really thinks in his head is, I'm bigger than Jesus.
Dangerous.
But I don't believe it. I don't believe no parts of it.
Ain't no convincing you.
No, he's a scam, and Osteen's a scam. Like these dudes, that's how I feel. And I'm like, any pastor who opens up their church for the cult of Sunday service to come in there and remix one of the greatest stripper songs I ever listened to, So Anxious, and turn into a praise and worship song.
Yeah. How can we look at it the same?
Like, man,
how
don't ruin
can
it.
we look at it the same?
No, I'm just saying, I'm just not feeling that guy. No.
I mean, didn't Ray Charles do the same thing?
I don't know.
Kinda.
I'm not familiar.
What'd he do?
What'd he do?
You familiar with the movie Ray, right?
Yes.
Where the preacher was coming in, it's like, why you turn the church music into, and I believe that was around the time of Thomas A. Dorsey was kind of doing blues and
Well, yes,
gospel at the
that's
same
definitely
time.
true.
Yeah.
It's definitely true that gospel music and blues got a very intricate relationship.
Yes.
Kanye ain't in that. I ain't giving him nothing.
You won't.
No.
So I guess to answer your question, is Kanye the new Mason Betha? Only time will tell. He told us that he ain't going back to secular. We shall see.
Please go back to say.
Kanye, I don't know if you'll ever hear this podcast. All I'm saying is go back to College Dropout, Kanye. I'll even take My Beautiful Dark Twisted Fantasy, Kanye, because that's one of my favorite albums. Just come back to us.
That, man.
Blink your eyes 7 times for the salvation.
I know. Do we need a flash? Do we need to go and flash?
We'll
light?
rescue
know,
from the
man.
Kardashians.
Oh.
We'll save
I
you.
love that. Kardashians.
Right, I never heard that.
I love
Okay,
it though. That's
okay.
perfect.
So moving right along, so we're coming out of summer. We're closing out summer. We're in August 5th. Season 6 of Love and Hip Hop returns, and little Fizzle Pop, it starts to bang his bandmate's baby mama.
That's crazy.
Would you feel a ways if your homeboy, and we gonna say homeboy, not friends, your homeboy start banging your baby mama or your ex?
Yeah, I'm in it. I'm in my feelings.
You in your feelings?
Yeah, you crossed the line.
Cross the line?
Crossed it.
We break up and one of your homeboys is like, hey, she needs somebody to love her.
Yeah, when I'm being hard, I'm like, I don't care.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm gonna kill you.
You heard it here first, folks.
I wasn't ready.
But the gag is, I'm not going to even try it. Now that's the gag.
I don't think I would care.
You wouldn't care.
Only because when you're in that celebrity space, from the outside looking in, I'm not a celebrity, the choices are slimmer.
Yeah.
My concern would probably be, one, the kids, number one, and then 2, the intention. Like, are you doing this? Like, how cool are we that this is even a thought for you?
Yeah. Well, they said, Omarion hasn't spoken on it.
Mm-hmm.
He spoke a little bit on his Vlad TV
Yeah, I
interview,
remember I seen that.
but according to Fizz, he's like, we've never. Well, let me take this back. On the interview with Vlad from Omarion's
Mm-hmm.
mouth, he basically said that he was brought into the fold of B2K.
Okay.
So you know how that is.
Yeah,
It's kind of
yeah.
like they already, Raz, Fizz, and J Book kind of had their
connection,
own
yeah.
bond. They've been working since they were kids. And then Omarion got brought in to make it a thing, to make it pop. So I can, that's like going to a new middle school, right?
True.
You go to the middle school and all these people have been friends since elementary, and you transfer from the other side of town. They might accept you a little bit, but it ain't what it was from the people you went to elementary school with.
Yeah.
So, like I said, according to Fizz, he said we was never that cool. We were band mates.
Okay. And that's what I'm saying. Like, I guess my gripe would be more so with her, like what's actually going on, because I need to understand, because our kids are involved. What is this? Is this a storyline, or is this? I don't even got to know if y'all really in love. That ain't none of my business. But what is the outcome for this? Because like you said, I wouldn't. Now, if it was Marcus Houston, because they supposed to be like brothers or cousins or something, that would be different.
That would be different.
I don't think I would care as much. It would probably still dictate how I maneuver one in public, because he ain't saying nothing I think was very smart. And to that Vlad, and even that Vlad interview was pretty much this,
straight to the point. He was very vague.
He wasn't rude.
Yeah,
I
so we don't know. So for all intents and purposes, it appears that April and Fizz are being shady, and it looks like Omarion is like the perfect guy.
Yeah.
But according to April, that's his way of fooling us, the masses. But you will never win your argument, April, because he's not showing that side.
If this is the truth, why are you even? Yeah, so I think I wouldn't care. My concern would more so be for the children, and then depending on how you raise your kids, when you co-parent or whatever, me and April having a conversation that, how is this affecting our kid? What are y'all doing? Do y'all plan on getting married?
Yeah.
Are y'all just dating? Are y'all just? If so, that's on you.
Yeah.
But I just need to know how my kids being involved is going. How are they going to be affected? I don't care what you do.
Right.
So I don't think
As you stated, Terrence, when we first talked about this, because I know you don't really care, but then I always bring you into these things. I drag you into these things. But you said that Fizz should have been worried about the bag. If he was going to screw her on the low.
Right.
On the low.
Right.
And once you grab your bag, we go together.
Right. It's like, it's going to mess up this money. We just going to be on, we just got to be quiet.
Low key.
Right. On the lowest of keys.
Yeah.
Not the lowest key. Give me a C minor. So moving on, that was big, and it actually still going on in the midst of what's gonna pan out in this 2020 Millennium Tour, because we see J Boog is trying to paddle his way to this tour.
Fam, he's smart.
So August 24th comes around. August 24th, 2019. That might not be a significant date to you, but to Meek Mill, he goes from being 12 years a slave to the system to having all his charges and convictions dropped on April 24th, 2019. And then he also released a documentary to chronicle that. Terrence and I watched this documentary, and I just want to say I'm so happy that Meek Mill got all his charges dropped, because once you realize why, it was unheard of for him to get be on probation for 11 years. So no matter what he did, it was basically a setup for him to go back. And this is bigger than Meek Mill. This is the system that we're in, because if Meek Mill did not have the money, to get these, because these white men that end up representing him, they didn't even know, because they're dealing with they're dealing with white collar crimes. So they didn't even know on the lowest of lowest scales that this type of thing is going on, because when you watch the documentary and they're talking to Meek, they like, what? This isn't heard of. And Meek is telling them this happens to a kid that looks like me every 10 seconds, basically in the system.
Right.
So what do you guys think the solution is for that? Meek is bringing attention to it, and basically now he's an advocate.
Mm-hmm. I mean, it's got to be something that's dealt with, because we got more people under the control of the state than we did have in slavery. Mm-hmm. I say that again. There's more people under the control of the state in probation or jail or prison than we had in slavery. And the Meek Mill situation as a celebrity, because he's a celebrity, it get held up and people get to see it. But this is happening to cats we know or don't know all over America. These tiny little infractions, and these judges with their little vendettas and they little class filters or whatever, just punishing these people. Where do we go from here? I mean, we got to keep bringing it out, keep fighting with it. But when I watched that, I was like, man, and it was like, your celebrity is actually making this worse.
Yeah, him being a celebrity was making it worse.
Like, this judge has really got something out for you just because you are Meek Mill. And that's even worse, because it was already messed up. But now it's worse to find out these little things that they can just keep entrapping you and bringing you back in. Yeah.
And it goes back to looking the part. Meek's mentioned in the documentary that one day he went to court just jeans, jeans and a t-shirt or something like that, because he realized even when I was dressing up with the suit, this judge still was treating me this way. So I'm going to go as me. And she, gave him another charge for that, just picking on him. And it just, I have to say this on air, and I'll say it again. Martin Luther King got assassinated in a suit, and Meek wanted to show, like, it don't matter how you dress. If they got it out for you, they got it out for you, because we get so steeped in respectability politics.
Ain't no right way to be a slave.
Come on. There is no right way to be a slave. So no matter if you got you speak the king's best English and you have on a tailored suit, if they got it against you or for you, that's just what it's gonna be.
Yeah, regardless. I saw a thread recently on Twitter And I'm going to say I don't know the extent, like the truthfulness of it. I'm going to assume it is because it's coming from a woman who works with convicts. And I'll read this really quick part. It says that she talked to a Willie Simmons who has spent the last 38 years in prison for stealing $9. He was convicted of first-degree robbery and sentenced to life without parole in 1982 under Alabama's habitual offender law because he had 3 prior convictions. What does $9 in the 80s, how does that equate to 38 years in prison? Look how old this man is. So your whole life is,
wow.
You know what I'm saying?
A $9 crime.
A $9 crime.
But like this is something that 2019 has been a year of these revelations that white people are coming to that we've just known growing up.
Yes.
You just know that inherently, well, not inherently, but you learn early on, go in the house, lock the door, don't open it for nobody.
Period.
You know, don't. The police are not to be trusted at large.
Right.
I mean, you may have that one guy who was in the community from back in the 80s and 90s, but it's the Meek Mill of it all, and this Willie. It's another thing that goes to kind of back to that hopelessness of the Singleton situation is that, yeah, he made it to this age and he passed and you know, he did great work. But what about the people who have not made it to that age? What about Kevin, who's only 16? My best friend it is terrifying. It is, and not to play the oppression Olympics, but to be a dark black man, tall, and of my stature, and having to take the bass out of my voice at times when talking to people.
And that's your natural tone.
You know,
you have a baritone voice. Your voice is a natural baritone.
This Meek Mill situation is very terrible. Thankfully, he came out on the other side, but regardless of what he did, who he affected, whatever he paid for his crimes. But there's so many people who don't get the chance to pay for and come out on the other side.
Yeah.
This man was convicted in 80s, and like this man could be someone's father who's an absent father, somebody's uncle, somebody's, you know, just the only maybe man in that neighborhood on that block who's like, it's so many things he could be, or he could just be a petty thief, and that's fine too because your life does not have to stop for 30 plus years just because of something that happened because you found yourself in a system that is
biased.
Not for us. It's never been for us.
You said you brought up $9 crime, and it made me think: how much did the state make off of him for $9? They had to make millions. What free labor was he doing for X, Y, and Z corporation for a $9 crime? Right. And it's sickening.
And yet Tekashi 6ix9ine may only get 3 years.
Felicity Huffman got 2 weeks.
That's funny. Y'all both brought up things that was on my list. I like some bullshit. It's like white people trying it, but lying to get their kids into college.
Yes.
And then Tekashi,
and that was a big thing too. That now that we segue into that, which was the testing, we'll call it testing gate with Felicity Huffman and Aunt Becky from Full House, Lori Houghlin, you know, trying to get their children into these top schools. And it's like, and I have to throw this in there because white people would love to say affirmative action. When our children get into a school offer of affirmative action, if and when they do, they're not the bottom of the barrel student. These are like 4.0 students getting in, and they are worth their weight in gold because we see they end up passing, doing great things. If your child was so smart and so gifted, then you got money. A lot of times the black kid don't have the money to go to the school, but they got the grades, so affirmative action just gives them a little push.
I.e. Franklin.
So if you guys have the money, so all your kid need is the smarts. So you're just letting us know that they're not smart enough. So go ahead and send them to state school. Bullshit. And you said they only got 2 weeks in prison, and this man stole for $9. And what I come to realize is what, you know, the people in the system think, and this just recently happened. This is a bullshit of 2019, where it came out that Chase has biased practices for their for people who are over a certain so if you make over $250,000, you get into a special savings program through Chase.
You get a private banker.
You get a private banker, and you get all these different types of incentives if you have over $200,000. So this ex-NFL player who moved to Arizona wanted to invest $800,000 of his money, which is well over the $250,000, and to receive these incentives. Well, he was told because he was black and he was a tall, dark-skinned black man that you will be looked at a certain way. I can't really invest your money like that. Come to find out, they did it with another woman who ended up winning the lottery. She won $350,000 in lottery, and she wanted to invest her money through this program as well. The white banker says to her, she just got that money. She doesn't know how to invest it. She's not used to having money, so we're not going to do anything.
Yeah, this is why I'm here with you.
Okay.
This is why I came to you, genius.
This is why I'm here. So that lets me know when I think about this $9 crime. They're saying to this man, why would we let you out? Because what are you going to do if we let you out anyway? It's like you're not going to even give somebody a chance. You cut off their lifeline without even giving them a chance. You donate their organs without saying, hey, do you want me to pull a plug, or can we go ahead and take these organs? You just do it. And it's sick. You pissed over there. Did you not know about that Chase story?
No, I didn't, and it's not surprising. And that's the thing. These stories are not surprising. You tell this to any black person that has not listened to this podcast, you tell them that story about Willie, and it's like, I can believe it. You tell them the Chase story, right. I can believe it. You can make this up and pull it out your ass, and I still can believe it because it happens so frequently. But then when it gets to the tip or the fringe of the white community, and I focus on white because that is the powerful majority, then it's all types of backflips and leaps and bounds to try to excuse it away or to be so shocked. We've known about this.
Yeah.
This is not new. So your outrage, I mean, however late, it's cute, but this is our life. This is our life. This is our life.
So moving right along, you guys, we're recapping the highlights and bullshit of 2019, and I didn't realize it was so much bullshit. I had more highlights on here, but wow, that's just the nature of the beast. So moving right along, because this studio time, we got to get out of here in a minute. August 25th rolls around, and it was the 18th anniversary of Aaliyah's death. Aaliyah rocked the boat one last time on August 25th, 2011. But also, it was the return of power and pissed everybody off, from Keisha to Tommy to Tasha, trying to teach her son how to sell drugs. I want to say Aaliyah didn't die for this.
Oh, my God.
Aaliyah didn't die for this, James St. Patrick. Ghost. So what happens is I really get involved in TV shows. Yeah. I'm vested. Like I know them. Were y'all happy with this season of Power?
Oh man, it just seemed like I was ready for it to end.
You're ready.
It just seemed like it was getting even more. I don't know. I just didn't feel. I wasn't feeling it.
You wasn't feeling it?
I was like, man, when y'all gonna end this?
So you feel like it ran its course and it's good that it's ending?
I don't feel like the story is compelling anymore to me.
Okay.
It's lost its compelling nature.
It did, especially after Angie died. Is she or is she not gonna get in trouble for dating this man with her being AUSA. They always got to say AUSA.
Right.
They be so extra.
Why? Yeah.
I don't understand Ghost's drive anymore. Like, what are you trying to do now? You just, really, you're going to be lieutenant governor? Like, remember we talked about jumping the shark? I feel like the show jumped the shark at that point. Like, for real?
Yeah, like now you want to. Like, I thought you just wanted to.
I just want to lay low.
The QCP project.
Yeah. TV's worst non-profit name is Queen's Child Project.
Why couldn't he just name it the Rhayne St. Patrick Organization?
Better.
Why couldn't it be My Daughter Is My Light Ministries?
My Daughter Is My Light Ministries.
I just don't understand.
I'm not looking forward to this. Man. I'm like 3 seasons behind. But
Okay.
You behind?
Sorry.
Sorry.
No, because I watch them. I just buy them from Walmart and watch them.
Okay.
So no, but I don't know if I'll be watching that.
Yeah, it gets ridiculous. Yeah. Moving right along, August 26, 2019, a controversial comedy special came out entitled Sticks and Stones by the one and only David Chappelle. This I don't want to say too much. I don't want to offend, but it was very controversial. He talked about Jussie Smollett. He talked about the LGBTQ car. The alphabet people.
Oh my God!
Is that offensive to the LGBTQ calling them alphabet people?
I don't know. I say it really depends on the people, because some people, they don't care. I know, me personally, it doesn't come off as a slur. It probably is intended to be, depending on who it's coming from. But alphabet gang, that's what, it don't bother me.
I thought it was hilarious.
Yeah, the way he set it up,
but
it was
he
was trying to be
like
offensive.
it goes again back to. That's not the first time that me or
okay.
Like for y'all, it may have been.
Yeah, it was new
first,
for me. Yeah.
We've heard that, so it is.
Yeah, I don't think he was trying to do it in a negative way. I think it was comedy, and I would say that's the bullshit of 2019. Comedians being censored.
Canceling.
Cancel culture. Cancel culture is the bullshit of 2019, because first of all, the stuff that's supposed to be canceled is not canceled, i.e. the Kardashians. And then the stuff that is being canceled shouldn't be canceled, or there's not enough investigation going on in these rants, these Twitter rants of canceling people.
I agree somewhat. I think that my issue more or less is past Dave Chappelle. I know that Eddie Murphy said something, an apology to some things that he had said before, and everybody jumped on him like, why the fuck he gotta apologize and fuck that and gay people this and that. But for me, it was more or less, if Dave Chappelle doesn't want to apologize, that's his right. He doesn't have to do so. Right. You can stop supporting him. Yeah. And that's your choice. But then you can't at the same time turn and say that, what the fuck is wrong with Eddie Murphy and everybody's so sensitive. If someone in their life, regardless to what the profession is, comes to a point where things that they've done they see as problematic, I don't think that he should get this back. Just like you don't think that Dave Chappelle should be canceled. Yeah. I don't think that Eddie Murphy or people who do recognize that, okay, this is not a space that I want to exist in. I don't. So I'm with you in this case by case, but I think that with that being said, when people do look back and say, okay, this is wrong or this is problematic, I shouldn't have did that, I shouldn't have said that, they shouldn't be met with the same vitriol as the people who say these jokes and they're just jokes. Yeah. So that's kind of where I think
the genius of Dave Chappelle is that both comedy shows that I've seen him do stand-up, one was in the Fillmore, which is in
D.C.?
No. Isn't it in California?
Perhaps. I don't know.
And then the other one was in Atlanta.
Okay.
The most recent one, which is 2 gay cities.
True.
Predominantly gay cities.
California is a state.
No, I'm talking about
the Fillmore is in San Francisco.
San Francisco.
Okay, there we go. Okay, 2 gay cities. Who we got there?
The city of San Francisco is gay?
No, they have a high population of the LGBT community.
I think that's it. I think that's the genius of Dave Chappelle, how he knows what he's doing.
Yeah.
So if he's going to do it, hey, I'm going to do it in front of this audience.
Yeah.
And not get any boos. But yet, everybody on the outside is want to say something.
Yeah. Right, because I get what you're saying. His audience was filled with this population, just like if he was talking about black stuff and he had a predominantly black joke or whatever. So I get what you're saying. That is the genius. And I think I love how you segue into Eddie Murphy, because that was the next highlight of 2019. Eddie Murphy return. Where did I get 2017 from? What's going on? I looked at this 7 on my paper. September 7, 2019, Eddie Murphy returned with Dolomite Is My Name. And I believe that Eddie Murphy did apologize because, well, first he came out with his interview, Comedians in Cars with Jerry Seinfeld, explaining you know, he was just basically saying, when I did these comedy shows in the 80s, he was like, I was in my 20s and young and full of cum, basically, you know? Right. And we all, first of all, and we talked about this on school days, is our frontal lobe is not fully developed until we're 25. So we just be doing stuff. Yeah. We be doing this stuff, and sometimes we think stuff is funny because at the time in those spaces that we're in, we're funny. So I get what you're saying. You know, if he's saying, well, I can't take back what I said because I said it and it's in perpetuity and it was funny at the time. But moving forward, I will be a little bit more sensitive to this community and I won't do it. You know, even though, hey, let's face it, it was funny at the time, or maybe not to some people, but to the majority of people, because it became one of the best-selling comedy shows of all time. It had to be funny to somebody. But he returned with Dolomite Is My Name, and I just want to say, I'm glad that Eddie Murphy back. And we're going to touch back on that, but that was definitely a highlight. Next, we had September 11th happen, which was the anniversary of September 11th. But on this date, September 11, 2019, Malik Yoba had his big interview on The Breakfast Club. Is you is or is you ain't gay? Like, Rhayne, is he gay?
I'm not going to touch that because I have very...
Okay.
I have thoughts. I don't think he is because trans. I'm gonna leave that alone.
Okay.
I think the Breakfast Club was not the best place for him, regardless to where you fall on if he's gay or not.
Okay.
I don't think the Breakfast Club is
the
I
place.
think it's fluff and it's for hip hop and for pop culture and current events. But I think if you were going to be serious,
you need to come on Tynee Talks.
For one, that's number one.
Period.
And two, and for three, there are so many other outlets that would have been more appropriate for that conversation.
Gotcha.
Especially when the Breakfast Club has proven that they do not support trans women at all. They've mocked Janet Mock with Little Duval, having him on after her, giving him her book cover, baiting him into finding her attractive, and then say, oh, you know, that's a man. Now, that may not be what they say verbatim, but that's what... So, for me, I think the Breakfast Club was the worst place.
Right.
So, regardless to how you feel about him and what he got going on, that wasn't the place for it. It was not. So, again, Tynee Talks is number 1 and 2, and then number 3, it could have been somebody else. Anybody else.
Yeah.
What you were agreeing with that. You agreed that wasn't the place, Breakfast Club.
Well, you know, I don't like the Breakfast Club. I know. It's just ignorant. And I don't care. I agree with Lakeith Stanfield. Man, Charlemagne is on something else. But anyway, but I just felt like, no, that wasn't the place for that. And I feel like that conversation could have been way more serious. But because it was on the Breakfast Club, it had no chance of being serious. And so do I think he's gay? No. No. I just think that conversation is a little more
intricate.
Yeah. It's just something else. And then the other thing is I just feel like Malik Yoba might be, and I don't know this as a fact, but he might be one of those celebrities who try to say things to sound very deep and profound. And don't,
like he's on the cutting edge of it.
He's like, let me go ahead
and got caught.
Let me step out there and say something that no one will agree with. You know what I'm saying? Like,
so I can say that I was the one. I was the
vanguard of the people who said these things.
And that very well could be it. And it's interesting that you said that they had the Janet Mock and then Lil Duval the next day, because they tend to do that and try to cover it up with the ratchets, trying to say that they're ratchets and righteous, but really they are baiting people when they'll do this. Exactly, you know, when they'll bring a Farrakhan in and then bring the most racist person they can think of the next day. You know, like Farrakhan just sat in his seat. Oh, okay. You know,
I think it's a fight for views, just like when they had Tank on there.
Yeah,
right.
Which is another highlight and bullshit of 2019.
Say that again.
Moving forward, October 2019, Gucci Mane versus Angela Lee versus Charlemagne the God. That was a big thing between them, you know, when Gucci wanted to prove that Angela Yee was trying to, in fact, sleep with him years ago. The jury's still out on that. I was...
Burr.
We'll just leave it at that.
Yeah.
Burr. Okay. Moving forward, October 29th, again, we lost another gem in our community, and that would be John Witherspoon, a.k.a. Pops, passed on. We'll never forget you, Pops, because we always know you got the coordinate. You got the coordinate. And the highlight is that you lived. Once again, you will give us laughs for generations to come. You know, you are funny. Some of our best moments is from Friday, Boomerang. I remember you did an interview and you said you will always be brought in as the guy. You said you never always got the big roles, but whenever you were on screen, you were going to make yourself be memorable.
Oh, yeah.
And you absolutely were and are.
Yep, most definitely.
And shout out to the D. What up, though? He from Detroit, Michigan. And like a true Detroit player, he always stood out in whatever you saw him in. So rest in peace to John Witherspoon.
Can I? Real quick?
Go ahead. Yeah.
Real quick. Not about John Witherspoon. Before you leave the month of October. Because somewhere in October, some bullshit happened.
Tell us.
And we all was like, that's some bullshit. I'm going to just say, it was the hug. When Brant John hugged Amber Geiger after that goddamn trial. You see how I just got all y'all?
Bro.
Man, that damn hug, and then the judge in the Bible. Okay, I just want to throw that out there.
You see how I just got real depressed?
That was some bullshit. Yeah. That was some
bullshit. The bullshit of 2019 was... I said... how you gonna hug?
Yeah. The hug. And then white media took it.
White media took it and ran with it, and that is the dangerous part. That is the danger. That's how we're forgiven. That's how we get weaponized against, because whenever they do an injustice, well, you cut to this camera over here that she hugged Amber. No. No. No.
I ain't want to derail the show. I just thought I'd throw that out. That was some shit, because we all paused like,
yeah,
the fuck? And then they took that shit and
they ran with the shit.
Yeah.
It's
Speak on it.
At the time, I was doing a different thing at my job, and so I had a bit more downtime, and me and a group of people were watching the trial. And it's a girl at work, and it's just it reminds me that not necessarily just because I'm from Flint that I'm cut different, but I know that all black people aren't the same. There's a girl at my job who was like, "Oh, y'all so mad because she beat the kid." Well, no, essentially being antagonistic about why people were wishing harm on Amber Geiger, and I said, well, I don't care what happens to her. I hope nothing good happens to her, but if you can't, as a woman, see, well, no, let me just say that. If you, as a black person, can't see the issue that we're having with this ruling, and then on top of that, the hug from this man, which I could almost, not excuse, I can almost look the other way, almost. I can't, but then on top of that, you get the Bible and the well wishes from the black woman that was the judge. I don't care about this larger community of white folks who are oppressive and doing X, Y, and Z. The fact is, in this moment, this woman has been proven to have gone into a man's house and murdered him. Yeah. So this ain't even something you can spin that he was outside selling cigarettes or he was in his car with his baby mama doing something bad. This man was in his house. And that man
wasn't doing nothing bad when he was with his baby mama. Let's be clear.
And
yes, let's be. And that's just the way that it's twisted, or that he was a 12-year-old boy with a toy gun who got shot down. This man was in his house. Right. And after all of that.
Eating ice cream, the most non-threatening thing you can do any age. At any age.
We get to the end of this red brick road, and this is what we come back with, is that we get hugs and prayers that you do
and kumbaya
read the Bible and learn more. This is a grown-ass woman.
Yeah.
She was competent and sane and walking within her.
This wasn't a teenager, and it was a pure accident. You know where you know what you were doing. You know where you were going. And it was proven through the trial. And this is my thing, because I am a professed Christian. So we'll say this. When the judge went on these interviews and said, well, as a Christian, blah, 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 blah. And I just wanted to show her that I can pray for you in my chambers. What you displayed was is going to be weaponized against us. And if you don't understand that, Judge, kiss my ass. You can kiss my ass. And I just said I'm a Christian. I said kiss my ass. And that's that on that.
Hey.
I mean,
The Lord know my heart.
Here we are.
Right. But I'm glad you brought that up. That was definitely a bullshit of 2019. Moving forward, November 26, 2019, Omarion announces the Millennium Tour without the rest of B2K, and we already touched on that. And then we get into December 2019. Lizzo shows her astronomical ass at the Lakers game.
Somebody's a tryhard. That's my feeling about Lizzo.
You feel like she's a pick me try hard?
She's a tryhard. I'm just like, I'm sorry. Come on. She don't reek of confidence. This don't seem confident. This seems stunt showy. You're just like, okay, you just gonna do that?
Yeah.
Okay. You're not Prince.
Yeah.
Get your ass out. You trying something.
And Prince wouldn't have did that at the Laker game.
You trying to see what people gonna say because you really just trying to. I just feel like she just.
And I heard
I'm not feeling it.
I heard people keep bringing up Rihanna. I've never seen Rihanna at a Lakers game like that.
Right.
Nicki Minaj was, but
I don't even care about the sanctity of a Lakers game where you got half-clad cheerleaders, you know what I'm saying, and drunk people.
Yeah, that's true.
So I'm not going to act like the Lakers game is like church.
That's a good point. I didn't even think about that because they kept on saying, well, children are there in media. But like you said, the Laker girl, since I was a little girl, I wanted to be a Laker girl, okay? And my mama got my, God rest my mama's heart. So my cousin had these purple biker shorts and this Lakers outfit that she passed on to me. And I pranced around and invited a boy over with them purple shorts on, trying to be a Laker girl, and never happened again. Let's just. But the point of the matter is, you're right. They've been scantily clad, and it's a family venue, and no one cared about that. Moving forward,
I'm just saying. I just feel like she was reaching. She trying to get that attention, and she got it.
I mean, they pretty much back when Janet Jackson, had that
Nipplegate.
They pretty much buried her.
Yeah. So that leads us to what Terrence always says. Why are they holding Lizzo on a pedestal when you just brought up Janet Jackson, which is a good point, Nipplegate.
And they brought her down.
And Janet Jackson is the premier body having whatever, but it's like white people are like, no, we cannot body shame Lizzo.
But you could body shame Janet Jackson.
But Janet Jackson, what is the...
They pick and choose. They pick and choose,
which causes us to go against each other again, pitting us, against each other.
I think another thing, too, they know we got a short attention span, because I brought up Janet Jackson. Ain't nobody in media brought up Janet Jackson.
Mm-hmm. Nope. At a family and at the Super Bowl, they're not even in the venue. A lot of kids are not, you know what I mean? They're there,
but in the middle of entertaining, she's doing a show.
Yeah.
So there was people that said in other podcasts, oh, well, I could see if Lizzo was doing a show, which in her show, she's doing the same thing.
Yeah.
But she wasn't doing a show. But yet Janet Jackson was
doing a show.
And now she's banned from doing any Super Bowl events.
And I feel like even though it was live TV, we know the magic of TV where they could have blipped it out. But yet we still see Lizzo's, that picture is plastered everywhere. It's not blurred out. It's not, oh my God. It's show it. So let's keep an eye on that. Do we think that Lizzo will make it in the next decade to come? Will she still be a hot star, or is this just a blip in time?
I think so. This music ain't what it used to be. I'm not denying her talent, but I think more music now is about personality.
Yeah.
More so than it is, you don't have the the Destiny's Childs and the Jagged Edges on a tour bus anymore. Mm-hmm. You have Katie in front of a YouTube screen and you get signed and now we repackage you. So not to say that she isn't a good artist, but I feel like because she can get these cosign of the white community at large, and she's edgy enough. I've seen some of her videos before she kind of broke out that I loved. I enjoyed it visually. I think that she can stand the test of time, but I don't know what's coming just next year. It might be all short, men and tall, fat white women. We don't know.
Yeah.
Like but I think as it stands now, she would make it.
Okay. Moving on in December, we're closing out 2019. December 18, 2019, Trump's impeachment. They spent the entire presidency trying to impeach him and impeach this demonic spirit. And as I said in my notes, you can't impeach demons. You got to call that stuff out. Shando. And lastly, December 21st, 2019, Eddie Murphy returns to Saturday Night Live. And I must say, from what I saw, he did a phenomenal job.
Eddie back.
Eddie's back. Eddie's back. That brings us, that's the close of 2019. Pretty much. I know we got a few. This show will air on December 31st, 2019 to close out the year. But I'm so glad that we got this far. It was a lot of highlights, a lot of bullshit, a lot of deaths, a lot of ups, a lot of downs. But it was great. It was a great year. So we're going to close out the episode with, what do you look forward to in 2020?
Oh, man. Them seeds that I planted in 2019, that's what I'm looking forward to. I'm looking forward to seeing those roots get into the ground and those leaves and flowers start coming out. I just want to see some greatness from everybody at this table. I want to see Tynee Talks and Carefree Black Nerd just blow. You know what I'm saying? That's what I'm looking forward to, just growth. Everybody having that beautiful growth.
Awesome.
Oh, God. How I'm supposed to...
How?
Well, I would like for everyone in the world. No,
you gotta one up him.
There you go. Everybody in the universe. I'm pretty much the same. I want to see growth for everyone at this table specifically, but everyone at work, school, family, friends, and I'm hoping that things change systemically for Black folks and get a little bit better next year. But at the very least, I hope everyone makes more money, have clearer skin, have longer hair, get their health under control, and seek out mental health doctors if you don't already.
Yeah,
that's right.
I'm with Terrence. You know what I'm saying? I hope the seeds that's been planted already will manifest and grow into fruit.
Yes,
be fruitful.
That's right.
Fruitful 2020.
Fruitful 2020. What I want to happen in 2020, I want Carissa and Charity Greenleaf to die slow deaths.
Okay.
I didn't have time to put that in the show, but Carissa and Charity Greenleaf pissed me off in the year 2019 of our Lord, and they messing with Bishop Greenleaf, and y'all making our family look bad. I also want 2020, I want the Red Table Talk to grow. I think that Jada, Willow, and Gam are having meaningful and much needed conversations at that Red Table. I want them to succeed and prosper. I want Flint, Michigan to finally have clean water because it's been far too long. And I want y'all to stop being headline hoes in 2020. That means that I want you to stop just reading the headline of an article and actually read that thing. Read the dates. Read it through and through. Read it top and bottom. Know who the author is and stop saying crazy stuff on these internet streets. That's what I want in 2019. I want clear skin. Thank you for that.
Yes, Lord,
I want good skin. I want this stomach to depart from being. Hey, Shondo. And I want y'all to keep listening to Tynee Talks. Peace. Hey. Megan, I want my knees to come back in 2020. Hey, big old freak. Hey, big booty treat. Hey,
I'ma make him wait for the pussy. Get it to you big old ski. Hey, feet on the bed. Hey, I'll fuck him up in the head. Suck it, then look in his eyes. Then the next day I might leave him on red. Hey, pop it, pop it, pop it. Daydreaming by hot rocket.
Yeah. You ready? It's Tynee Talks right here. We gonna talk about it right here. We gonna talk about everything you